I'm banned for life from Vail Resorts. You suplex one person in the lift line and you're the asshole. That's the only way I can put it. You know, it was so stupid. This guy hit me from behind, started screaming about how snowboarders suck. Like, I had the right of way. I don't even know why he was that close to me. There was no one on this cat track that I was just cutting back to get to the chairlift to. So he does that. He takes off. I catch up to him in the lift line and call him out, and he punches me in the face. So I went Golden Age WWF, 100%. I grabbed him around the waist, pulled him right out of his skis, and suplexed him head first into the lift line.
Welcome to episode number 57 of the Not Snowboarding Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Mousson. For this episode, we sat down with Avran Lefeber during the SIA trade show in Denver. Avran is the founder of the longest-running independent snowboard review website, The Angry Snowboarder. We get into his thoughts on the SIA trade show, which I'll give a quick trigger warning for any of the industry folks that may be listening. He pulls no punches. On the other hand, as you likely know, the SIA trade show was recently purchased by Outdoor Retailer, so in some way, Avran's thoughts on this were possibly vindicated by the marketplace. We also get into his reading habits, his workflow, and unlike certain podcasters you may know, Avran is a prolific and consistent content producer. We touch on Russian hacking, just-in-time learning versus the legacy education system and how that applies to staying relevant in the digital world, how to get banned for life from Vail Resorts, and much, much more. Before we get into the episode with Avran, a word from our sponsor. This episode and every episode of the Not Snowboarding Podcast is brought to you by Shred Soles Performance Snowboarding and Skateboarding Insoles. Shred Soles is a company that I founded with the goal of increasing foot comfort and performance in snowboard boots and recently in skateboard shoes or really any shoes as well. So many big updates to share on the Shred Soles front. We've recently moved the company to a mountain in California. We've added a couple of new skateboarders to the skate team, and there'll be some announcements coming out very soon about some new snowboarders on the snowboard side as well. We've been testing and developing 2 new insoles over the summer that are both going into production this week. One is a super affordable, full-length skate insole with an insanely cushy heel pocket. We'll also be launching a brand new snow insole that we've been testing all summer, and it's by far the most comfortable snowboard boot insole that I've ever used. Also, and I'm super excited about this, in a couple weeks we'll be releasing a snowboard boot bag that also has a helmet pocket, a goggle pocket, and a changing mat. I was able to use it a couple of weeks ago at Mammoth, and it kept all of my stuff in one place and gave me a clean place to stand on while I changed my boots. Finally, we're running a summer clearance on the current snow insole to make room for all of this new inventory that'll be arriving this fall. If you want to pick up a pair of snowboarding insoles for only $18.99, which is the lowest price that we've ever offered, head over to shredsoles.com. The sale is running while supplies last, and some sizes are sold out already. Enough with the shameless self-promotion. Let's talk to the man who has been called the Charles Bukowski of snowboarding in Breckenridge, minus the drugs and alcohol and being a shitbag. So it's SIA Day 1.
Yes.
And we're here with the Angry Snowboarder. Avran, and am I going to pronounce your last name right? Lefeber?
Yes. Okay. Wow, you actually got my first name right. Which is huge, because for some reason I've heard every variation. My favorite is when people call me Abraham. I'm like, how the hell did you get that from
That's
Avran?
That's a stretch.
Avion,
Yeah.
Lefeber.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can sit there with a name tag on at SIA and people give me a different name. I'm like, cool. I'm just going to start telling people my name's Roy.
Avi1 class.
Yes, Aardvark LeBaron. That's a good one.
I think you used that on your news show once.
Probably. Probably. The most irrelevant show in snowboarding.
We'll get to that in a little bit, but wanted to gain your thoughts on SIA. We were kind of comparing and contrasting earlier. It was my first SIA, and I'm actually working it for a couple brands and doing Parts and Labor, the all snowboarding show, in conjunction. But you've done many an SIA. What are your thoughts so far after day 1?
This is the smallest SIA for snowboarding I've ever honestly seen. There is so much empty space. The walkways are wider than they've ever been. There are so many less people. I mean, it's day 1. I'll give it that. I want to see if maybe more people are going to roll in for Friday, Saturday. But, you know, I did I've done 12 SIAs, I think, or 13. I can't remember. And this is the least busy SIA I've ever been. Like, to the point where people just want to talk because I'm there.
Wow. Is it just snowboarding? Are you even looking at the rest of the show floor? Like, are you looking at what's going on in the ski and the fashion and the accessories? Or do you...
I don't really
blinders?
care about any of that shit, but I have to walk through it. But I did notice there's a lot of big brands that normally have huge booth space. Like, when you walk in, you got to go through the ski side, which is like, dead man's zone. It's so quiet and everything. Usually you have to go around the spider booth because that thing is like 4 times the size of Burton's biggest booth ever. Not there. Just gone. I don't even think North Face is there. I don't know if Helly Hansen, I didn't see him. You can walk around and see everything. And my first appointment this morning was with Rosinal. So, obviously 10 a.m. I got to go walk back up to the front to the ski side of things, and you can just see right there. It's not. There's a lot of dead space because normally you can't, when you're in there, there's so many booths and they've got so much stuff hanging, you can't see the far walls. I was like, I never knew there was a pizza place there or taco stand or this or that. And then, they have what I call Death Alley, where they put all the crappy brands that'll be out of business in 6 months. And I walked back there, and I mean, they had the partition divider walls, the white curtains up, taking up a space that I want to say last year probably had 20 booths in it.
Wow.
It's tiny this year. This is the most pathetic SIA I've ever seen. Thank God it'll be my last.
Do you think it'll be your last because of parts and labor?
I don't know. I'm going to check that out tomorrow and see if that's what I think it is or if it's going to be something different, but I'm just going to go to On Snow. And that way I can be like, hey, let's go talk about your brand. Let's go make a few quick laps. And then we're done. It just... Trade shows to me have changed so much, and I've seen it change with the media landscape with what I do. I mean, when I first started Angry and would go, I'd be like, okay, we're going to take these photos and we're going to leak them on the internet, and it's all the next year's product. And some companies would be like, no, you can't do that. And, you would do that, and you would just see the spike in traffic. You would go from normal day, 2,500 interactions, views, stuff like that, and suddenly you're like, oh my God, 20,000 views, 30,000 views, 40,000 views, 10, you go from a normal day of like 10, 20 comments to like 100 plus comments of people discussing it. And then, the big media got on it and started putting out, I think it was Snowboarder the one year, did a whole SIA pre-catalog or magazine showcasing all the next year's stuff, and maybe it was Snowboard Mag. I don't know. They're all the same to me. And they would do that, and then everyone was doing that, and I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I just don't even care anymore. So I'll do a day one recap. Now I just here's your SIA recap. Here's a couple cool photos. Drool over it. I don't give a shit. Send me products so I can review it, and let's fucking move on.
I think what's happened is that the companies went from that point of view of no, don't leak this to, oh, we see the value in letting this information out early, and we're going to be the ones to leak it ourselves. So we're going to put it up on our Instagram story or Instagram feed or whatever methodology they use over the internet to get it to their customers directly.
No, that's exactly it. And you see the drastic change. I mean, I remember when Brooke and I were the ones leaking everything. So she was doing it on Yobeat, I was doing it on Angry, and you know, everyone would be drooling on it, and then you'd see like the nerdier snowboard sites like TGR, snowboardingforum.com or whatever, and all the little tech heads getting behind it and like scrutinizing every little thing. And now it's just, you got people posting photos a month ago from the regional show. It's just not
Guilty.
even worth it. It's fine. I don't care anymore. The game's changed. I'm like, all right, well, here, go there. I don't care. I'll come up with something stupid. I'll make a whole irrelevant video about freaking swivel discs for your bindings or something. Which, by the way, there's one of those companies at SIA. I swear to God, every fucking year there's one of these companies. I've watched like 9 of those companies go out of business, and now there's another one. I'm like, dude, it's a shitty idea. Just fucking spend your money somewhere else. But so thank God SIA has them to make money off of, because, you know, snowboard brands don't give a shit anymore. Burton's gone. Slash is done this year.
They're not a company anymore?
I think there's still Gigi's trying to do something from what I heard, like get new investors and get the name from Nidecker or something. But I guess Nidecker. I haven't gotten the full story, and I know I will get the full story, so I don't really want to spoil it here. But you see that, and it's cool to see Mervin came back. But I was talking to a brand today, and they were going to do parts and labor, and SIA was basically, we will give you your booth space if you don't go there. So the owner said, yes, I will do that. But for being a not-for-profit or whatever, and it's all part of us owning it, it's the biggest freaking industry circle jerk I've ever seen. And the hoops that they make you jump through as media to go there. So years and years ago, I used to have to register as a fake buyer, and it was this bullshit thing. Or you take someone else's badge and you go photocopy a new name on it at the freaking FedEx Kinko's, and which I'm not saying go do it, but you could do it. There's one right across the street from SIA for anyone that wants to poach. And shit, just put down that you work for Angry Snowboarder and sign up. They'll probably give it to you. But you had to do that. So then 1 year, I think it was either the first or second year they were in Denver, their big thing was, oh, we want all the media here. And, they were hounding me to come, and they were like, we want you to promote us. And so, okay, cool. And now it's you got to pull teeth. I've been coming for so long, and last year, I think I had to email the guy 15 times to make sure that I could be allowed to come. And he's like, well, I don't know if your publication. And I'm like, cool, my publication might not be allowed, but you're going to let that douche nozzle, James Beastie from The Good Ride, in, who's just going to walk around and get drunk and tell people that their snowboards are the best and suck them off. That guy doesn't do shit for snowboarding, but you're going to let him in, but you won't let me in because I might say something controversial or whatever. And you see that. You see people struggling to get in. Or my favorite is, oh, we don't know if we can let you in. And then I walk in and, all of Never Summer's whole family's walking around. We got little 2-year-olds and 5-year-olds running around trying to get free stickers and shit. I'll be in an appointment and some kid's pilfering in the back. I'm like, fuck that kid. I got shit to do here. What's that kid
fuck
gonna
that
do?
kid.
Yeah, fuck that kid.
I saw a guy who had the name of his electric company right on his company badge, and he came around to the booth, and the other guys had maybe seen him before, I don't know, but they were like dogs on full alert, dude, get out of here. I mean, the guy didn't even get 2 words out of his mouth, and he had his hand on a beanie and his hand on some socks, which was the promo stuff, and they were just like, dude, get out of here. And we were busy, so I didn't really get the full story, but I'm guessing that the guy just registered under the name of his company that either he works for, owns, or whatever, and decided I'm going to go shopping at SIA for free stuff.
No.
Christmas presents next year.
You see people like that just come around and they've got that Primaloft reusable grocery bag, and they're just walking around stuffing anything they can get for free into it. And I'm like, man, fuck off. I got shit to do here. Stop interrupting my appointment. My time's more precious than yours. You could die and I'm not going to care, but I've got something to do. So
yeah,
that's another good quote.
Yeah. You said when we were chatting earlier that I was like, well, SIA can't be all bad, could at least be making you some money, and you just laughed. No, SIA doesn't make me money anymore.
SIA is a fucking money pit for me, dude. That puts me in a hole. There was years when Angry was still it's still fledgling, but when it was super, super fledgling, I'd have to call my mom and be like, Mom, I'm going to SIA. Can I borrow $300? I'll pay you in 2 weeks so I could have money. I mean, it cost me. So I live in Breckenridge, Colorado. I live an hour and a half away from the convention center, depending on traffic. It cost me more to come to SIA in Denver than it ever did in Vegas. Hotels, food, transportation, all that shit. If I didn't
gambling, no hookers.
No gambling, no hookers. I can't go play Pretty Woman and pretend I'm Richard Gere, and and that's the whole thing. It's not a party, and I understand that. For me, SIA was never a party because I don't drink because I'm missing organs and stuff. So I don't go to party. I go to get business done, and it's no one's buying advertising at SIA from me. They're just sitting around this is the best, promote it. And I'm like, all right, well, let's see what crap you got this year. And I'm like, oh, yeah, cool, another swivel binding. Let's go do that. In case you haven't noticed, I fucking hate those goddamn things.
Is that what Jeremy Jones used?
No, he took a disc and took a Dremel and ground out the teeth on it,
Yeah.
so it would spin completely different. No, these things they
go forward.
Well, they over engineer them. I remember the one time I ever had to ride a chairlift with some asshole that had one on, and that guy almost took me out because he did not know how to get off the damn thing with that thing swiveling around. And I had to throw him on the ground and be like, "You do not grab me when you're falling." It's like, if you're going to use that stupid thing and it's going to hurt you, you can hurt yourself. Do not hurt me in any way, shape, or form. And so, yeah, dude, fuck SIA. I'm over it. I'm so jaded and bitter towards it and what it represents. I mean, it's a last bastion for these people that are like, we're going to save shops and we're going to do business. And I'm like, dude, go to any booth and I guarantee you see more people from other booths in there than you ever see buyers from any shop. The regional shows are destroying SIA. I mean, so my friend John owns the Lumberyard in Breckenridge, Colorado, which for anyone listening to this, please shop there. It's the best shop in town. And he and I are like, I've helped him do buying since he opened it and everything and helped him find what brands he wanted and whatnot. We have almost all of our buying done at the start of January.
Sure.
You know, there'll be a few brands like that we needed to come see, but do we really need to come see it? Just give us a goddamn catalog and we'll order. We know what's going to sell, and that's where we're at, you know. And it's just... it's so antiquated, and it's like it's the typical story of snowboarding. They're the ostrich that sticks its head in the sand when the stampede's coming, and they're gonna die. And you know, it's just like I sit there and I just shake my head every single time. Like every year, progressively, I get more jaded and more turned off on it, and it's getting to the point where I don't even drink, and I'm like, man, I'm just gonna get fucking drunk and be belligerently stupid for 3 days and let the snowboard industry just deal with me.
I saw a lot of people drinking. I saw a lot of companies offering beer.
Yeah.
Like they're going around like, oh, do you want a beer? And it's like just a company just giving it away.
Well, that's so. This is the funny thing about that. For a couple of years here in Denver, they were cracking down on if you had a beer early before a set time. I think it was like 3 o'clock or 3:30. You were not allowed to have beer out in the convention center, and they were freaking out about it. This year, they actually sent out a press release like, oh, yeah, and we're going to allow drinking earlier. And I was like, man, in Vegas, I could roll in at 9:30 in the morning. There was people that were still going from the night before, and I was like, yeah, all right, this guy, he's sending it. Oh, well, you know, like I remember the first time I ever met Joel Klein. Oh, my God, I love Dirty Joel. Like one of my favorite. He was just when he still worked for Rome, and so I'm pretty sure he hadn't showered in a month leading up to SIA. Like, and he was clearly just sending it. And for some reason, the marketing people were like, "Hey Joel, can you show him the Rome line?" So they like hand me off to Joel like the first time I meet him, and he's like, "What's up, brother?" And he's like giving me like, I swear to God, I'm like, is this guy trying to be like Macho Man Randy Savage? He keeps calling me brother and stuff. And we go through the line, and you can just tell he is drunk as shit. And he is just, but he put the face on, and he was just like, boom, here's the facts. Any questions? Do anything? Second we're done, I look over, and he's just like shotgunning a beer. And I'm like, all right, well, that's one way to do business. That was actually one of the most entertaining presentations I've ever had at SIA, so I'm just going to let it go. And to this day, I don't know, for some reason, Joel will go out of his way if he sees me anywhere to, like, present himself to me. He's like, I'm here. What's up? What's going on? What's going on? I'm working for this company now. Well, yeah, let me show you this. And I'm like, all right. And then he goes right back to partying right after he tells me whatever's going on. And I love that about the guy. But
you guys bonded.
It clearly we're kindred spirits on some level. I mean, I don't know. But, yeah, he's funny. Last year he was on point when I did these parody interviews, and I would ask anything like off the cuff question, and I got him with Corey Smith, and I was like, so we're here with Joel Klein and Corey Smith, and they're going to talk about their new show, spinoff from Sons of Anarchy called Sons of Cabo Wabo. He just went right into it. He's like, yeah, you know, we're drinking a lot of tequila on the beach, and you know, Sammy's good, and we're haunted by the ghost of David Lee Roth, and it was so good. It was, you know, and that's the thing. But stuff like that, you know, you're gonna have a better memory of that doing that than sitting around like some of these companies I go to, and they're straight marketing pitching me, and I'm like, why are you freaking marketing pitching me for a sale? Because one, I don't sell shit on my website. I talk about it, I review it, you know, I test it, I talk about stupid trends in snowboarding and shit like that, you know, and I just SIA sucks. That's about where I'm at with it.
I've heard Japanese businessmen do like, they'll get like really, they won't do business until they like drink with you and like party with you, you know, and they like get like really, really drunk, like excessive, and do like crazy shit. And then once they see you, like you guys have both almost like have dirt on each other, then it's like, now we can do business. Now we can work together.
You know, yes and no. I just read Akio Morida's, or Mariah, I'm butchering his last name. Anyways, one of the guys that founded Sony, it was called Made in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to right at the end of World War II and how they rose from the ashes and everything. But the whole book compares and contrasts American culture to Japanese culture in it. It's a really good book. It's out of print. Like, I just happened to find it in this little rinky-dink bookstore in Breckenridge called Old Man Birkin's. Yeah, I'm plugging local businesses left and right here. And Justin hooked me up on it, and I was like, oh, this looks like an interesting book. And you start reading it, and you see he constantly, it was written in 1986 or something, and he compares and contrasts it, but going through, and he makes all these predictions about where the U.S. is going to go. Oh my God, dude. It's like, I swear to God, he predicted Trump was going to become president, but stuff. But going through everything with that, you learn like how the Japanese do business and how they deal with the gaijin and stuff like that. It's gaijin, yeah.
What's a gaijin?
That's the white man.
Baka gaijin, stupid foreigner.
Yeah, no, but it's really interesting. So it's a good book. If you can ever find a copy, I definitely recommend reading it because it's eye-opening. You also learned that Sony tried to make plasma TVs in 1982.
Holy shit! Wow.
And what they did, the guy that was working there that was going to go all plasma, they were like, well, we just don't have the technology for it. So they gave him seed funding, and they were like, come back and revisit us when you have it going on. You know, they were working on technology 20 years before we even knew what it was.
Right.
And it's crazy to think that, but how they do business in Sony, like, and what they did under this guy's leadership and everything is just crazy. And it definitely doesn't fit like the rumors of how they're like the super strict businessmen and they will just fire you. The whole thing, they go into how they don't fire people in their business. Instead, they're like, you're a really crappy manager, we're going to train you to go do this other job, and they keep them around for life. And like,
put people where they fit.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's really key like that. And the other thing is, they're like, when we were closing down, when we were phasing out certain programs and stuff, rather than lay off thousands of people, they go to them and they go, do you want to stay with the company? And if they were like, yeah, they go, okay, well, we're sending you to retrain you to go work in this division now. And they're like, and they keep the people for life. And it's completely different to what Americans actually believe. It's really weird. Yeah, you know, it was eye-opening. It was just a really, really good book. And so just to hear that, but yeah.
Do you read real print books?
Yeah.
Like consistently?
I got like 3 right now I'm kicking through and stuff. I mean, the books, I live right behind the library in Breckenridge, so I can go over there and see Barb and the girls and get one, or my friend Barb and the girls. And then I can go see Justin down at Old Man Birkin's, and he's always doing it. So I always try, I call this my college phase in life, because I never went to college.
Yeah.
So I go and I get 2 technical books, and then I get like an autobiography or something on someone that I think was a good business person, and or whatever I'm studying or what I feel like I want to learn, and I read that, and then I have like a fiction book going on at any time. So right now I'm in my photography phase, so I'm reading all about different photography and lighting techniques and video stuff like that, and going through that, and then, you know, reading William Shatner books on the side, which, I don't know, man. You can tell I'm a product of the 80s and grew up in the early 90s, because I'm reading the Tech War series of books and stuff that Shatner wrote. I don't know if you remember that series. There was a 3 or 4 made for TV movies, and then they had a series that lasted 1 season. It had Greg Evigan on it, and but yeah, I've been reading that stuff, and yeah, it's good though because you got to keep your mind fresh and you should always be learning and stuff. So.
I have trouble. I have trouble reading. I still buy books like I used to read, like I used to always be reading. And what I find that I've done with probably the last 10 books or so is read the first chapter or two and then carried them around in my backpack for a couple months and then realized, like, I'm not reading this. Like, why am I not reading this? Because I'm fucking looking at my phone. I'm on Facebook on my computer or somewhere. That's not where I'm spending my time. How do you break away the time and just, like, delve into a book?
Well, so I read the 4-Hour Workweek. And
Tim Ferriss.
Yeah, Tim Ferriss. And because, like I said, I'm going to college, so I'm trying to figure out any way I can make multiple revenue streams and stuff.
Don't go to college.
Exactly.
You want to make money.
If you want to make money, don't put yourself in debt.
Yeah.
So I was reading that, and I was reading Freakonomics and stuff like that. And Tim Ferriss...
Two books I have read.
Yeah. So
Art of the Deal. That's probably the next one you want to read.
Actually, I really want to read that to see how bad it is. But
I think he had a ghostwriter.
He did.
I think Trump had a ghostwriter.
He had a full ghostwriter for it. And
the guy comes out and said...
The guy came out and said it. That's why I want to read it. I think my dad actually has a copy of it. So I need to go dig through my parents' attic and find it or something. But, I was reading 4-Hour Workweek from Tim Ferriss, and he basically said, he's like, before you go to bed, you should read fiction or something to just alleviate it. And he's like, you need to limit yourself, but find the books from the people you want to learn and just learn the thing rather than pay all this for education and do stuff and cut through the bullshit. And that's what I'm doing. So, like, I pretty much will pick up a book and I will look at it, I'll read the back, I will pull it to the middle and start reading just a random chapter out of it and be like, okay, I'm going to read this because this is something that, resonates with me, and that's it. The other thing is, like, so since I'm banned for life from Breckenridge, so I've got to take a bus to Copper or bus to A Basin if I can't get a ride. I got 45 minutes to read one way, so I'm like, I can read there. Working at the liquor store in the summer, I know when the peak hours are and the non-peak hours. There's times I'll sit down and just read for 3 hours before I see a customer, and I'm just like, whatever. The other night, I cranked out like 20-something pages in an hour and a half on photography. I was just reading different lighting techniques and stuff. So if you want to make the time, you can make the time, but I'm just as guilty as you, being stuck to the phone, stuck to Facebook. My biggest vice right now is Battlefield 1.
Is that a game?
Yeah, for PlayStation 4. And I never should have bought a PlayStation 4, but I do that, so.
I just pulled out the 2 books in my backpack that's near me here. One I've actually read before. I wanted to reread, and that was a question I was going to have for you. And it's something that Tim says in his book. And as you mentioned, the 4-Hour Workweek, I'm thinking, like, shit, I completely missed what you just said about, like, making space for reading fiction every night. But he said reread things, and that's the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. It's a book it's small, it's easy. I've read it 2 times, but I'm like, I need to read it again. And then this book is just entirely too big. Like, I started in on it. Surf is Where You Find It from Jerry Lopez. I think I got through the foreword, and that was it.
I'd start in the ocean.
I've been carrying it around. It's more of an exercise, like weight for me.
The weight training.
You gotta strengthen your back.
Yeah, that's about it. Do you ever reread books?
No, I have a photographic memory. And so as long as I'm on point when I'm reading, I'm not like half off, dozed off, I will remember things forever pretty much, like if I want to. So I've always been that way. I was the kid that's like solid C-, D+ student, but finals coming around and suddenly I've got like one of the higher grades in the class and they're like, he cheated. I'm like, no, I just read everything I needed to like 2 hours before the test and just aced it if I had to. It's all just based on that. And so I have the photographic memory, and I also have an audiographic memory, kind of like Morton Downey Jr. used to have. Before, if anyone knows who that guy is, he was Maury Povich before Maury Povich. In the late '80s, early '90s. I watched a great documentary on him and stuff. But you learn how he would do his shows. They would have bullet points before that they would go over, and he would remember everything, and people would be talking to him too, spouting stuff, so he'd be remembering the audio that people were saying, and he'd be reading at the same time, and he could just pull it out at a drop of a dime and stuff like that. So that's what I deal with. And like, so I've got an older brother, and he loves to bring up stories that never actually happened, or his recollection of them, which is completely wrong. Like, the time he ran me over on his 169 ride timeless and dislocated my shoulder on New Year's Eve. And the way the story goes, he's like, yeah, and then I held you down and I popped your shoulder back in and you were good to go, but you were punching me. And I was like, well, one, you popped it out. I just grabbed it, popped it back in, then I punched you in the balls. And then we were fighting, and Ski Patrol showed up, and then they realized we were brothers and they didn't want anything to do with it. So we just continued to keep fighting in the middle of the run and stuff like that. But
World Star.
God, if World Star existed when I was a kid, the battles my brother and I had, like, he almost...
Y'all could have gone viral. You had a series on the YouTubes, and that's how become a YouTube's celeb. And you just Google ads, and then you just make that money.
Well, only if you're getting over 1 million views would you actually make decent money. You also have to have at least 1.5 million subscribers to your YouTube channel to make any money off that. But
you gotta start fighting somewhere.
I know. But my brother's older and bigger than me, and I kicked the crap out of him when he first
Sibling
went to college.
fights. We could organize it. It could be just like...
I'm scared to fight him now because he's probably got a solid 100 pounds on me.
We get you training. You gotta hit the gym.
No, it's not that. I'm just worried that eventually he would sit on me and I would die.
That's my whole strategy with my little brothers. Every time I visit them, they're both same thing, 100 pounds more than me for the most. One of them actually dropped a bunch of weight and he's not, but they want to get even with me for all the bullshit I did to them as an older brother when I go home. So my only thing now is just to be at a distance where I can always run away from them. I'm never this close to my little brothers because it's not safe. They'll kick my ass.
What I like to do for years after living in Colorado and being accustomed to high elevation living, and we burn more calories, we suck more oxygen. When I go down to sea level and deal with it, I like to run up and slap him in the gut and get him to chase me. He can maybe make it a quarter, half of a block on a good day. He's a chain smoker. I'm not worried. I'm like, got you, bitch.
And you're at sea level, you must be like superpowers.
Actually, it puts me to sleep. I'm like, what's going on? Oxygen. I'm out cold. Like, whenever I go back to see my parents, my mom knows, well, the first day and a half, he's just going to be in a coma on the couch. Like, I'll get in late usually, so I get back to my parents' house about midnight, 1, cook a pizza from the local frozen pizza place, which Collins Pizzas, you can't get them anywhere outside of Western New York, so I grew up on them. So I'll plow down a family pizza like it's nothing, go to bed, wake up at about solid, 10, 11 in the morning, go downstairs, say hi to the family, eat some breakfast, go to the couch, fall asleep till about 5 or 6, wake up, eat dinner with them, go take another 2 or 3 hour nap, and then I'm ready to go.
It's pretty exciting.
If you've ever been where I'm from, there's nothing exciting about that. Town should just burn to the ground.
Yeah. Maybe that another YouTube video you could make.
You know what I've always said? I really just want to win the lottery, and then I want to go back to my hometown and buy everyone a Crown Vic in black and get their license plates 1 number off so I can convince the world that it's just a cult of a town. So it becomes this weird anomaly where tourists come to see if it's truthfully a cult, because the people there are just so ass backwards and fucked in the head that it's just something I want to do. Either that, or I want to buy a gas tanker and set it on fire Mad Max style and just crash it into the town and just blow the whole town up.
So instead of reading books, you should be writing books.
I'm working on it. I should have the first one done hopefully in another year. I keep setting dates that I'm going to have it done, but I never have it done. But the first book I've been working on this for years is how to be a snowboard bum successfully. Because there's so many people that are like, I'm going to move to the mountains and I'm going to snowboard every day. And I see them move to Breckenridge, and I mean, about a month in, they're just the most jaded, salty fucks I've ever seen. And I'm like, yo, man, relax. We live in one of the most beautiful areas on Earth. Why are you burned out? Oh, that's right. You're doing it wrong. You're failing. So,
are you attached to that title, or are you going to test it?
I'm going to test. I've got like 3 or 4 different titles that I'm going to test on that one. But right now, I've got what I've discovered. This is how it goes with the writing process on this one. I go and I'll write like a funny story of something stupid that happened to me. And then I go back and I analyze it, and I'm like, well, this is what you need to do in this situation or this situation, because I've had so many weird situations. And, I grew up 15 minutes from a ski resort. My grandfather is he was an original member of the National Ski Patrol. He was their lawyer on the East Coast for over 40 years. It's in my blood that eventually you're just going to be a snowboard bum for whether it's your whole life or a little bit, or you're going to have this weird love of being around snow sports and stuff, and with the way I grew up and everything, and seeing everything and living it firsthand. Like, my friend said it best. He's like, "You're the Charles Bukowski of snowboarding in Breckenridge, minus the drugs and alcohol and being a shitbag." And I'm like, okay, not sure how to take that, but I'm going to go with it. I'm pretty sure I'm not dying of chlamydia, so we're good.
You're not.
There's always time.
Well, you never, I will say this right now, amoxicillin is a great drug.
This makes me think of the app that you were talking about earlier that was new to me. It's like the modern Tinder.
Oh, Tinder and Bumble have changed the dating game in ski towns on a whole other level. Like, you know, my friend Emily Blewett said it best. She's like, there's not a lot of dating in a ski town, but there's a hell of a lot of adult sleepovers. Tinder and Bumble make it so much easier. It's like, I'm just going to keep swiping right. Oh, sweet, I got a match. Hit him with a cheesy pickup line. If it's Tinder, if it's Bumble, I just wait for him to come to me.
So that's the difference between the two. The Bumble.
Yeah, Bumble. The girls have to initiate the conversation, and like, I'm talking to this chick right now that is just batshit insane. I'm convinced that she is either smoking crack, or she is
your next ex-wife.
No, she's got to join the list of at least the first 5 before that are going to be my future ex-wives. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just screwing with her right now at this point. But this chick is she's something else. She hit me up today. She's like, "Oh, I saw you were like in Denver." She's like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh, just contemplating what would be worse, having nipples for thumbs or having dildos for fingers." She finishes it off. She's like, "Well, if you have some dildo fingers, why don't you ram them in my vag?"
No way.
This girl's just raunchy.
Yeah, there's probably a glove you could buy that could happen.
Well, I really want to make like a porn parody, like Edward Dildo Fingers or something, or like, you know, Shreddy Dildo, and have like the dildo glove or something. I don't know. It's just, but yeah, dating in a ski town is just like the funniest thing on earth, because you see how it's so small and such a small pool that you see people getting recycled, or you're
getting recycled.
That's about all you can call it. It's like,
it's not your girlfriend, it's your turn.
There's the tourist fresh blood coming in all the time too, I would think.
Dude, tourists fucking suck, man. Playing that game with them, and they want you to be their tour guide. They want you to take them to all the local spots. They want you to do everything. You got to invest some serious time.
Which, by the way, we're going to Copper, and could you show us around?
Yeah, I'll show you around. Don't worry. I will. You know what you want to do is you want to go down to the I-70 line and get in your car, and you want to just head west till you hit Beaver Creek, and you're good. No one should ride Copper ever. Actually, that's a lie. Just enough people.
Especially on a sunny day.
Yes.
30 degrees, or after it snows.
Actually, the funny thing is, going from 10 years of riding Vail Resorts to having a Copper Pass this year, like, just the night and day difference in the two is so funny.
Why do you live in Breckenridge and not ride at Breckenridge?
Oh, of course you're going to ask me this question. I'm banned for life from Vail Resorts. You suplex one person in the lift line and you're the asshole. That's the only way I can put it. You know, it was so stupid. This guy hit me from behind, started screaming about how snowboarders suck. Like, I had the right of way. I don't even know why he was that close to me. There was no one on this cat track that I was just cutting back to get to the chairlift to. So he does that. He takes off. I catch up to him in the lift line and call him out, and he punches me in the face. So I went Golden Age WWF, 100%. I grabbed him around the waist, pulled him right out of his skis, and suplexed him headfirst into the lift line. And, you know, we tussled around for a little bit, and we stood up, and I thought we were going to go for round 2, and he's like, fuck you, man. Fuck you. I'm going to kick your ass. And he fell over, concussed. I mean, easily concussed. Like, I don't think he was prepared for what I did to him. I was just... But, you know, dealing with Vail, basically, the dude hit me from behind. He punched me in the face when I called him out, and I fucked him up to finish it. But because he had a day ticket and I had a season pass, they side with the tourist over the local, and they're like, well, we know we're going to get your money. And they basically, because they wouldn't tell me what was going on, and I had to call around and everything, they banned me, which was just a funny-ass conversation. Like, the chick straight up told me, her name's Michael Sloan, so... I don't know if you can publish her name or not. I don't care. It can fall back on me. Fuck that bitch. And she said to me, she goes, there's nowhere else in this county you will ever be able to ride. You need to just leave and drop this and not be here anymore. And I'm like, I've been here for 10 years. I ain't going anywhere, bitch. You know, so we were going back and forth, and she's like, well, if you push this, I will ban you for life. And I was like, well, I'm a habitual line stepper and a button pusher, so I'm going to push it. So I'm pushing it right back at her. And she starts going off on me, and finally I'm like, suck a fart. This conversation's over. Done. So she hangs up on me, whatever. The next day I go and buy a basin pass because Vail doesn't own a basin, actually. They just have a licensing agreement. So I'm giving my money right to a basin, which the perks from the pass are way better. But I talked to some of my friends that usually have the power to turn your pass back on in that situation, and they go, I don't know what you did, but I've never seen this before.
It's unprecedented.
Yeah, unprecedented. You're setting levels, which, I mean, this is the second time Vail's done this to me.
Second time you've been banned for life?
No, first time banned for life. Second time I've been banned. They banned me about, 9 years ago because they didn't like something I wrote about their ski patrol, mountain safety, I should say, and ski patrol at Keystone, because the former head of Keystone Ski Patrol, Craig Simpson, and I quote, snowboarders have no place on my mountain.
Whoa.
And he was singling out snowboarders and profiling. And he kept calling me son when I had to deal with him. I was like 26 at the time, 27, I can't remember. And he was singling me out. And his ski patrol guy, he hit me from behind, because the guy didn't know how to ski, which was typical, but they told me that I was riding recklessly. I'm sorry, but if I'm laying a Eurocarve, I am completely in control. Worst thing that's going to happen, I'm going to wash out on my stomach. But I was doing toe side to heel side Eurocarves all the way down, coming out of the park, and I was just cutting across school. It was actually during the SIA on snow demo. This was back when SIA was still in Vegas, so it wasn't the national on snow demo, which is just a whole other shit.
Wait, what?
Show.
It was in Vegas, and
then you would have regional shows.
So the Colorado one?
The Colorado one used to be at Keystone.
Oh, okay.
And so this dude wanted to make an issue. I remember he's like, well, I need your pass. So I give him my pass, and he looks, and I was working in the retail division of Vail, but at the time they only owned, I think, 49%, so it was still owned by the Gart brothers who started Sports Authority. And he looks at my name, and he goes, Avran, huh? Are you one of those people? And I'm like, what people? Like, how are you going with this on my name? Because
what do you mean, you people?
You people. No, that's exactly it. And I was just like, what do you mean, you people? And what do you mean? And, he basically, I don't know if he was an anti-Semite or whatever. I don't give a shit about it at this point. It's so long ago. Fuck that guy. And, you deal with the situation. So I'm like, well, I'm going to talk to your boss. And so they bring this chick out, and she was nice enough. And I tell her what's going on. She's like, oh, I think you need to talk to my boss. This dude, made it out like it was the biggest inconvenience. He's like, I'm up there saving people's lives. And I'm sitting here going, it's 39 degrees and slushy, and the only people here are for this on-snow demo. And it's all people from around here that ride here that know what the fuck they're doing. And so this guy, he goes off on it, and Craig Simpson, the head of Ski Patrol. And so I wrote an article about the police state of Keystone, which still gets views to this day.
Not bad.
Well, anyways, because I worked in their retail division, I come into work, and there's been this call down from Rob Katz, the CEO of Vail, because people were reading it and forwarding it to everyone in Vail. It got printed out and all over different mountains. I was hearing from people at Vail. They're like, oh, I've got it sitting in my park shack. I got it sitting in my lift shack. And I'm like, holy shit, okay, this thing went viral. And, this was viral before they called it going viral.
Yeah.
And so anyways, Rob Katz basically realizes I work in for the retail division, even though they don't own the majority. So he puts a call into this guy Cat. He had some Indian last name, but he was a douche. And so Cat calls the area manager, Sean Dolan, and Sean Dolan's like, "What? Oh shit!" So they're all reading this article. They let me sweat it out for about a week, and I'm just going to work, whatever, doing my own thing. And finally, my manager's like, "Yo, man, the word is coming down. You are probably getting fired for what you did. If you had been on your own time, on your own day pass, they would have let you go." And I was like, why would I be on my own day pass if I work here and you give me a season pass? I'm going to use the damn thing. So I come into work, and Sean Dolan's there, and he's like, "Hey, Avran, I need to talk to you." So I go in there, and Sean's weird. I think he was a closet homosexual that had fantasies for most of his employees. And
not that that's weird.
Not that that's weird, but just things he would say. Like if you had a six pack, he'd be like, "Lift your shirt and show me your abs." Just stuff like that.
Do you want a promotion?
Yeah. Touch me in the butt. And so anyways, he pulls me in the office, and he's like, "Man, like everyone's sticking out for you, but I gotta let you go." And I looked at him, and I was like, "All right, I don't give a fuck. It's just a job." And that was the day that I went full bore into Angry Snowboarder.
Fuck yeah.
And that was, and you know what I did that day? Or, the day after that I had to fly to New York for my grandmother's birthday. And then I came back from New York, went up to A Basin, and bought a season pass. Same thing I did last year. When in doubt... I still want to go in doubt. Go to A Basin because they will sell you a season pass any day of the year. Last day of the season, you want a season pass for that year? They will sell it to you, no questions asked. And I love them for that because just going there, it's a ski hill. It's not a mega resort, and they let you do it. But I've watched Vail just fucking ruin everything that they've touched for a local. Like, they actually tell their mountain safety that they have a quota that they have to, of passes they have to pull. You have to have one a day for a day ticket or pass, and you have to have...
one a day?
Like every day? At least a warning. You have to give at least a warning, one a day, but they want to see you take at least 2 to 3 passes a week or something. I've heard like this.
Take 2 to 3 passes?
Yeah. Dude, for the longest time in Summit, there would be an ad in the Summit Daily newspaper for Keystone that said... X number of passes taken this week, passes banned or confiscated for the year, and then they started doing that at Breck.
But is this a pride thing, or is this somebody just trying to give transparency to what they're doing?
We look at it as a way
to live in fear.
Their whole thing is family friendly at any cost, which is what they're doing to their terrain parks. That's why their terrain parks suck now. They're like family friendly at any cost, and that's what it is. If they want to be the fucking Disney World of ski resorts, and I understand that, but when I've had interactions with their people and they're like, "You just don't understand, you're reckless, and there's kids out there," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm somebody's kid. What?" I'm like, in the last up until this year, but like the last 3 years that I rode Vail Resorts, I got hit 5 times from behind. Every time they tried to make it out like it was my fault. I'm like, I'm in a wide open run and turning it, and they'd be like, "Well, they're injured." I don't give a fuck if they're injured. They hit me. Like, I'm sorry, you hit me from behind. Like,
do you think they're still seeing a level of skier, snowboarder discrimination, or is it just purely...
you want to talk about that one? They, for the longest time outside Keystone, the way the park, and you know this, AJ, because you've been there, like how the park is in that little bubble off in the side, and it's got the chair and stuff. Peru, yeah. Well, Peru's the long lift, but there's actually the park chair, so you can ride, you can lap. Yeah, so you can lap the park. Well, if you ever look at where you have to cut out, if you have to go back to River Run into the main village, you have to at some point cross a beginner area. And if you know what you're doing, they will single you out if you know what you're doing. Oh, you're too fast, you're too reckless. This year, this is what this year they made it so if you take the gondola up and you have to go to the park, they fenced it. You used to be able to just ride down the top of School Marm and cut into the park. They fenced it off, so you have to ride all the way back down to the other base area, then take another chair up and miss a whole... Yeah. So just remember that if anyone's going to Keystone...
If you take the gondola up and ride, we take the right.
You get off to the right.
Left or whatever.
Yeah, you get off to the right of the gondola, strap in, and you ride the top of School Marm, and you'd be able to...
You can't get to the park now?
No, you have to go all the way down. You can't even get to the park chair. You have to go all the way back down and take Peru back up. And
what?
Yeah, it's bullshit. So they've done that, and so they do that so you're basically doing that. And then Breckenridge on busy days... Because 5 chair is the park chair, but it's also a beginner chair. It's like the stupidest thing. Like, let's put beginners
really
with park
planning.
Yeah, no. So you could usually cut out of the park and cut over to Colorado, and then you just do a super lap. And it's a 6-seater in Colorado. Well, they put up a rope and a fence, so you either have to go all the way down to the base area, past 5 chair, around their giant ass lift lines of beginners, across a flat area. Then you have to skate back up if you want to get into the singles line because there's no singles line on the other side. So people were just ducking the rope.
Sure.
You know, my roommate happened to get popped for it, and they were like, they blocked his pass for 2 weeks. It's bullshit. And they made him take a safety course. And this is what they do. This is how they go out of their way to do all this bullshit. Like, they go out of their way. It's family friendly. It's all this or that. So due to her, like 4, maybe 5 years ago, they had some film crew with Red Bull up there. And I don't know who the fuck they were filming. I think it was some Never Summer Rider. This guy sucked dicks. And, but it was a crew filming him. And the dude was bombing down off Colorado, cutting over to 4 o'clock to get to the park. And he drilled someone and took him out. And this woman was like mangled. And I'm like, holy shit, okay. So like I check on her, I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, and I'm like, okay, I'll go down. And so they got the yellow jackets, fucking 90-year-old white dude that looked like the old man from Poltergeist. Just like frail as shit. So I roll up to him. I'm coming in hot because this woman's injured. This kid's going away. Sure. And I'm like trying to do the right thing, you know? And he just starts screaming at me. And I was just looking at him and I was like, shut up. And he just stops, and I was like, there's a woman up there. You need to get ski patrol. That's why I'm coming in hot. Like, I think her leg's broken or something. And this kid, and I go, that kid right there, you need to call him in because he hit her and ran. And the guy's just like, and he couldn't even react. And I was like, you're fucking incompetent. And went right to the next guy that was down below him. And I was like, that guy's incompetent. Get someone up there. She's sitting here about this far down. That kid right there did it. You know, I'm trying to do the right thing, but you see this all the time. Or this is the one that takes the cake. So spring day, it's getting close to the end of the season, right? We're all riding Park Lane. We're all hitting jumps and shit. If you've ever ridden Park Lane, which you have, right, AJ and Breck, you know, it's a triple jump line. They just progressively get bigger. For the longest time, they were the best jumps in probably the world. Like, you could leave for a month and come back and they're the same. You know, you never have to worry. They're all the same. So, but you have to carry certain speed into it. So I'm carrying speed into the jump 3, and I know how fast I have to go. I can't speed check because the snow slushy, it's going to stop me. And I hit it, and I make it just past the knuckle, right to the sweet spot. Yellow jacket, hey man, didn't you see me up there flagging you down to slow down? And I'm like, was there someone injured? And he's like, no, but you were out of control. And I looked at him, I'm like, are you fucking serious? You are trying to tell me how fast to hit a jump now? Can you hit those jumps? Oh, no, you can't. That's right. I know what I need to do. And the funny thing is, their training for how they judge whether you're out of control or anything is a 20-minute video. Most of those people are the most bottom-level skiers and snowboarders. Like, we're talking people that maybe ride 3 to 5 days a year. They want to live the snowboard bum lifestyle that Vail sells them in the whole thing. Because they go around to high schools and colleges to market jobs to these kids. They're like, hey, you're going to take a year off before you join the real world? Oh, before you go to college, come in. Yeah, let's have some fun. We're going to do this. You're going to ride like 100 days a year. You're going to get a free pass. You get discounts on gear and all this shit. They don't fucking tell you that most of those kids that work for them don't make enough to even eat between living in the staff housing. So you're basically a glorified slave. Eating on the mountain, you're paying already... Like, oh, but you get a 25% discount. Yeah, 25% discount on something that's inflated 200% ain't shit. You know, you see it. So, like, you know, I work in a liquor store. Right next to us is the grocery store that's connected to us. I had a girl come in the other night. I was talking to the night manager at the grocery store, and she was looking for day-old food. And I watched her, and we told her we didn't have anything. And I looked at her, and I was like, yo, you see that? She's got the employee lanyard and everything. She walked around the store looking for something she could shoplift, and I watched her do the whole thing. She can't afford to eat.
Wow.
Because she's not making money. And you see that. I mean, which is really weird that she wasn't making money. She might have had a drug habit or whatever.
I was going to say, in Colorado, she might be spending a lot on weed.
Yeah, well, you know, the ramen and whiskey diet will only get you so far. But these minimum wage, you know, these kids become minimum wage snow carnies for these jobs. I mean, and they become indentured to the resort. And, like, I understand using the job and the staff housing as a way to get your foot in the door to stay out there. Like, if you're smart, you utilize everything to give them the basic minimum that they require so you can get the most out of it, and then you move on. But these kids that come back year after year, I'm like, are you just fucking retarded? Like, you've got to be stupid, you know? It's one of those things. It's really weird. So
I get all the different incidents that you've had, but do you think any of them were discriminatory between skiing and snowboarding for sure?
That one with Craig Simpson, 100%. That guy, because to go along with that, so Finn that owns Bomber bindings for hard booting was he lived up the street from me when I lived in Silverthorne. And so, I'd written that article about Keystone, and it was like almost a year and a half later. We had mutual friends, so he gives me a call, and he's like, "Hey man, can you come by?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll come by. What's up?" And he tells me he's got it on video. Hard booter, so he's carving. He's got a video of their mountain safety screaming at him, saying that he's out of control, and you can see that he's laying a carve, but he's probably going about 15 miles an hour. So he's like, it's a very mellow carve. Well, they want him to take the safety course. He's got the video. So he calls up there, and he gets the assistant ski patroller. I think he's the head of ski patrol now there because Craig's gone. But Craig Simpson wants to come and talk to him. And he's like, oh, okay, figures, Finn's like 46 years old or something like this. I probably got his age wrong. So Finn goes up there, and they want Finn to admit to Craig Simpson that he was out of control. And Finn's going, no, I wasn't. I've got video. Like, see, I brought the video with my GoPro and everything and do it. And Craig's like, no, you're going to admit. And Craig followed him around a room trying to corner him. Well, and Finn was like, dude, I felt like a caged animal until I could finally get to the door and break free. And Craig Simpson told him, he's like, well, you're a snowboarder. You're one of those people. And that's what they breed it. And like their HR knew about this guy's problem. That's why he's not there anymore. But, the guy's a fucking douche nozzle. And you know what? I was so glad, because his wife was a realtor, that when the recession hit up there and we had the housing crisis, like people were losing houses left and right up there. It pretty much destroyed his wife because she was a realtor and everything. And karma came back and bit that dude on the ass. But fuck that guy. I would love to have just a few minutes in a dark alley with him.
So what would you guys do?
We would dance.
Oh, okay.
Aggressively with our fists.
I really didn't think.
It's not like capoeira, it's like the Brazilian dancing.
Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, you ever seen that movie Only the Best or whatever it is? That's all about that with the dude that played the crow on the TV show. Oh, it's god awful. It's an awful movie.
On Netflix.
No. You'd have to you'd probably find it on YouTube.
VHS and chill.
VHS and chill. Nah, man, I'm all about Amazon Prime and commitment. What's up, girl?
Hulu and do you?
So
I'm
you
not
have
good talking girls at all.
You have Vail Resorts to thank for the kick in the pants on Angry Snowboarder.
It was like a final fuck you, and I was just done working for other people at the time. I mean, I had a bunch of stocks that my grandfather had bought for me when I was super young, and it had really matured to a decent amount. So my mom, and the way it was set up, because I was so young at the time, she was the executor, or we had a joint or whatever, and I was like, yo, let's sell it. So we sold off all my stocks so I could just live and do Angry, and that's how I was able to dump a lot into it. But yeah, Vail was the final you know what? Fuck this. If my written word can have that much effect on $1 billion company, awesome.
So back up before that happened. What's going on before you launch Angry Snowboarder? What made you do it? What were you thinking?
Well, so before Angry, I was on snowboard.com, and that was when they were really blowing up before they did the whole stupid colonies thing. And they had a really good thing going. They were the largest snowboard website. They had a lot of good things.
It's like MySpace.
That's
the profile.
It was, but then they launched the colonies program inside it, and that's when it really tried to compete with MySpace, and you know how that went. It was but so I was doing that, and I was on their forum and stuff, and I was working in a shop and shit, and so I had a lot of insight on stuff, and I started just dabbling in product reviews here or there, and I would answer people's questions, and I'd go to demos and I'd ride shit and write reviews, and I'd give all this insight and answer people's questions and shit. And then I was starting to get disenfranchised that it was making other people money.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm on your forum, and people are coming here to just talk to me. Yes, I understand that you have overhead and everything, but I'm making you money, and why am I doing all this for you? And so I was living in Silverthorne, and my friend Sarah, she basically was like, dude, you've got all these great opinions. You've got this great direction. You know how to interact with people and get them engaged. Well, why don't you start a website? And I was like, oh, yeah, all right. So I started Angry on September 11th.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Coincidence.
I didn't realize it was September 11th, which makes me a really bad New Yorker. So I did that.
You needed to do something.
It was angry, and originally it was
That's
angry.
what
It was angrysnowboarder.blogspot.com because I started on Blogspot. Which hindsight, I should have just gone WordPress right from the start. And it was really shitty. It was really, really shitty.
You have to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere, and then about I think it was like 13 days later, I bought angrysnowboarder.com, the domain name, and swapped it from angrysnowboarder.blogspot to it. And, I would check my analytics all the time, and, it wasn't doing anything. But then I started just getting pissed off about stupid things on snowboarding, so I would write an article. And and snowboard.com was still going on. There was a few other little snowboard forums and stuff I was on, and I would post links to it. And I can't remember what I wrote, but something I wrote, I almost want to say it was the Skate Banana review because I referred to it like a steak knife fucked a banana and it was a piece of shit. It was something like that. I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was that review or something. And I went from maybe getting 100 and something views a week to I was getting 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, and I was like, holy shit, this is becoming bigger and bigger. And I was still doing it as a hobby. And, I was working at a shop and doing other things. And, yeah, it had a snowball effect. And, I mean, at its peak when, the whole blogging snowboard thing, when I was doing it, YoBeat had just relaunched. There was, 40 other sites. It was this big thing. And, it was new. And I was like, I wrote HTML code back in 1996. How hard can it be? And I would, tweak things and was doing that. And so it started to just snowball. And
one of the things about that article that you wrote that I think is important and something that I've tried to learn and embody is that in blogging there's this guy James Altucher who's
I know James.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
I'm surprised, stoked. Because I kind of think of him as a bit of a nerd, but
he's a huge nerd. I'll admit that. I like some of the stuff. I don't like his current direction that he's going in. He's a little too Tony Robbins, and he's like, you need to subscribe to this, and you need to self-help this, and choose yourself.
Well, exactly to the point I was going to make is that he says that you should be scared. You should be so transparent in what you put out that you should be scared of somebody reading it. If you're not scared, don't waste your time publishing it, because it probably that whatever is scaring you about being revealed in that post is probably the thing that's going to be relatable to other people that read it.
No, and then that's exactly it. It's the classic analogy of a fat cat doesn't hunt. And I've always, I've been complacent at times with Angry, but I've always been like, what's the next thing that I can do, or what do I need to do? Yeah, I've definitely lost a few battles that I've picked, but I've also won a few battles, and you got to take your wins and your losses with everything on that. But if you're going to do it, anyone can start a snowboard website. And I love it when people hit me up and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this. And, every now and then I get someone that's just a whack job or something. They're like, yeah, I'm going to put you out. And I'm like, dude, I've been doing this for a decade. You ain't going to do shit to me. Fuck off. You're nothing to me. And you see it. It's anyone can start anything. It's how far are you willing to take it? I'm 10 years in this game. I think at this point, I'm not going anywhere unless I decide I'm done. I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm going to pull the plug and fucking move to Japan and go ride powder and be huge.
You mentioned,
literally.
I like that plan. You mentioned the different platforms you're using. You started off on Blogspot, transitioned to WordPress. Are you still on WordPress?
Yeah, I'm still running WordPress, hosted by GoDaddy on there. So it's, I don't know, it's got all sorts of nerdy shit that I don't understand. I break that thing at least twice a month and freak out and have to call my guy Ryan and be like, I don't know what I did, but it's not. I mean, shit, dude, I broke it the weekend last weekend actually. I had two competing plugins that decided to turn everything into cryptic Latin. I didn't even know cryptic Latin was a thing, but evidently it's what things revert to into a language. And I'm like, why would it go to a dead language? I have no idea.
Well, April Fools. Yeah. Well, hacking.
Yeah.
By Russia.
Right, hacking. There's another thing that sucks. I got hacked by Russia one time, and they turned my site into a Viagra porn store.
You could have made some money if you worked with
No,
them.
I did not make any money. I spent money. I think I spent $300, $400 to get that all cleaned up. That sucked. And then that's when I redid the website because I was sick of that shit. Yeah, Fuck, dude. The internet.
Fucking Russians.
Those goddamn Russians, man.
So I'm curious about what things you've been able to automate, because it seems like even in the amount of time that we've been here, I'll bet you that you have put out some content on the internet, but you've been here with me. I haven't seen you look at your phone once. You've been
no, I'm good, man.
completely engaged and present.
Yeah.
But I know that you've published something on some platform somewhere somehow.
Not today. Not right now, man. I'm in the now. I put up the Instagram story from today, so there's a bunch of different videos from different booths. I put up an Ivica Jurgensen interview, which
I saw that on the website.
Yeah, and I talked to Genovese today from DWD, so he's going to repost it, so maybe they reposted it. But right now, I guarantee you, I've probably got 10 comments about different snowboards from the product reviews that I'll have to answer when I get back, and I probably have 2 emails, but by and large, like, that thing can run itself. Like, I proved a point one time. I just had a mental breakdown. I was like, I'm going to New York and going to hang out at my parents' house where they have dial-up Wi-Fi. Not do shit. I'm not even going to turn... I didn't even turn my phone on for a week because where they live, they had no cell service at the time. I just turned my phone off. That thing, it'll still be there when I turn my phone on and open my laptop, but... I mean, if I want to automate, I think I'm using Deliverit for Twitter, so that'll automatically deliver every time I update.
Is Twitter still relevant?
No, God, no. I don't even think it matters. Maybe if you're the president of the United States, bitch about people and be a...
I feel like snowboarding really, no one...
No, it isn't. Instagram, Snapchat's huge, but I don't
use Snapchat.
I don't either. No,
Instagram stories.
Instagram stories, yeah.
Snapchat wasn't, like, killed my phone.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Tinder kills mine. So
yeah,
but
he's using that.
Swipe right now, block later. Tinder draft, baby.
You pay for Tinder?
Hell no, man. I'm over 30, man. They charge me $20 a month if I do that. If I was your age.
Oh, it's because the older you are.
The older you are, they figure you have more money, so you pay more for it. So if I was your age, I'd only have to pay $9.99 a month. No. If it ain't free, it ain't for me. I'm awful.
Does that give you like a special badge? The girls go, oh, he can afford it.
No, but you can
unlimited swipes.
You got unlimited swipes. You can hide your age, which being 34 in a ski town is really tough when you're trying to pick up 22-year-olds. And so
I got a sweet couch. It's tiny.
I do have a sweet couch. No way, man. I bought a brand new bed when I moved into my apartment. I'm like, yo, girl, you want to sleep on some memory foam?
I got the memory foam too.
But then they don't really understand the deal with me is I'm like, yo, I got back problems. You got to go sleep on the tiny couch, and then I kick them out. Like, you can go home or you can sleep on the couch, and I shut the door. I'm ruthless. Probably why I'm single.
Not a lot around too.
Yeah.
See, as a smooth transition here, at what point doing the blog, it sounds to me like you mentioned earlier that blogging had peaked in some way.
It had.
And you have identified that, and you've also changed what you're doing to some degree because of that.
You have to. So you're either going to stagnate and die. You look at print and what they're going through and how they're downsizing. I mean, White Lines doesn't do a magazine on board. All of Factory Media doesn't really do print. You look at what's going on with 10, who knows what the fuck's going on with Snowboarder Mag right now and Transworld. Supposedly they're merging, but that's probably just hearsay from another irrelevant website. But Snowboard Mag only does a photo issue and I think a buyer's guide? I'm not sure. So you look at that and everything's changing. So right now, YouTube is used almost as much as Google, if not more, for searches for...
Number 2 search engine.
Yeah, number 2 search engine, which, I mean, it's still Google. And so, I was reading some stuff, and Facebook's getting into doing mid and pre-roll ads in their videos that you host on there. So they're going to try... Apple's trying to create their own streaming service and YouTube's type thing.
Yeah.
So they're coming out with
they have news now too.
Yeah, it's just really weird, but it's good to see. But you have to diversify and everything like that. So, the written word, like, I barely graduated high school. I mean, like, my mom made a deal with me. I could snowboard as much as I wanted to, as long as I gave the basic minimum to graduate on time. And you better damn well believe I was a 70-point student. A solid C minus. Couple classes like to carry me. I would take fluff classes to get an A in, so I would be like, okay, that's gonna pull my GPA up. I mean, I graduated with 99 kids in my class, and I was number 63. So I wasn't total bottom of the barrel, but I was low. I mean, college wasn't for me. So, I found the blogging thing, did the writing thing. When I was younger, I always wanted to do video, it was just, if I was a kid now with the technology they have, fuck, man, I'd be applying to USC, I'd be making short films, I'd be doing all sorts of fun shit, So now I get to play with that medium of doing it, so I've got Last Week this week, right? The most irrelevant show in snowboarding. Probably your listeners have never watched it, and that's okay. I have no problem with that. It's irrelevant.
I bet you they have, because I like it and I repost it quite a bit, and I get a lot of my snowboarding news from it.
It's and I've been slacking the last few weeks, but I'm gonna get back on it after SIA. So there's that. I've got a sock puppet show. I mean, have you seen it, AJ?
Syphil and Ollie?
No, it's kind of like Syphil and Ollie, but
Stinky.
It's the Stinky segment, and
Stinky Socks.
Yeah, Stinky Socks hooked it up.
Got a whole room of Stinky Socks right over there because I didn't think there was a washer and dryer here, and I've been in Colorado for about a week now.
Those are literally Stinky Socks. You do know we have electricity and indoor plumbing here. It's crazy.
I just got it.
I just found out.
We did. It's crazy.
Maybe there's like a snowboard boot and sock fetishes at the trade show at Parts and Labor that would love to sniff your socks.
Well, let's
bring a pile of them.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Let's tell people that you have a foot fetish, and that's why you started to shred soles. And you'll just be there smelling, and if they want to join, they can.
I'm down with this idea from AJ.
You can
let's make a fake Tinder profile with just a pile of Stinky Socks.
Yeah.
Set it to 1 mile while we're at Parts and Labor and just swipe right on everything. Set it to men, women, anything.
Trying to get a sniff.
Let's just let's put it on the Groupon one. We'll keep swiping and see what happens. But so I got the Stinky Sock show, which I never thought I would ever do a sock puppet show. And the thing was, my filmer guy, Ben West, super talented guy. And I mean, I couldn't do a lot of things without him. I've learned a lot from him. He's like, I've always wanted to do a sock puppet, kind of news show for snowboarding. I was like, all right, let's fucking just do it. And he's like, what? And I was like, if it sucks, it sucks. Who cares? So we did it. So he made the sock puppets. So we've got 3 characters. So there's Chad, the main guy. He's the logical one. There's Chip, the stupid stoner that just gives you the clip of the week. And then there's Otto/Rocco, the multiple personality disorder sock that I play. And, Otto Rocco, he talks like this. How you doing, sugar? I smoke Pall Mall extra filterless. You didn't even know those existed. But he does that, and, he bounces between his 2 personalities, but he's self-aware that he has multiple personality disorder. And, it's stupid and it's funny. And then there's the new one that I'm doing, Ask a Black Snowboarder.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Oh my God, so politically incorrect.
I'm trying to get on. I'm half black.
Are you?
Yeah.
I've always wondered that.
No, you haven't. Nobody looks at me and wonders if I'm half black.
No, because you post photos of your dad.
Yeah,
I see that, and I'm like, is he?
Is he? One of those people?
One of those people? Well, no. So it's the same concept. So the guy that I have doing it with is Marcus Stevens. I've known him since I was 11 years old. I've watched him. If everything had gone different in 2007 at the U.S. Open, he would have been a mega superstar in snowboarding. It's just the classic tale of he injured himself beyond belief, and mentally he never overcame it. But he still has so much talent as a rider. So if any companies want to sponsor him, I'm gladly taking sponsorship deals for him. We can.
I don't think companies are sponsoring people anymore. I think
and by sponsorship, I mean he will literally do whatever you ask for, a used snowboard. But so I got Marcus on there, and he's half black, and so we got it on there, and he's like. So he's really hamming it up on there. I mean, it's so politically incorrect and it's awful, but I love the one quote in the one episode. He's like, it's times like this where I just claim my white half. Because we were talking about why rappers wear snowboard gear when they don't snowboard to basketball.
Ray Sherman, they wear the goggles. A lot of goggles.
Well, no, we were talking about when Wheezy was wearing
the Nike boots.
Yeah, the Nike.
Bow Wow wore Nike boots too.
I know, and they all suck. But so I've got to Ask a Black Snowboarder. We're working on a longer format.
I could have saved Nike because that's. I mean, if more people wore.
Wait till that episode comes out and Marcus talks about it, because he goes into this whole tangent about, he's like, just because an Air Force One is $100 and a Zoom Force One was $300 doesn't make you cooler because you spent $300 and you're now wearing a hot, sweaty ass snowboard boot while walking around Compton. You look like a fucking moron. And he's like, and you're making it harder for me because I live in a world of white people. And he's going on.
Hard for me to get accepted?
Yeah, exactly. Because that's pretty much what the questions kind of revolve around. And,
how to get accepted in the white world.
He grew up in a ski resort. His mom and dad worked there. I mean,
how do you fit in?
The funny thing is like, we live in a white-dominated sport in snowboarding. It is
snowboarding.
Yeah, right. It's white-dominated.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
I know. Don't. Yeah. But so like. With my thing is, like, I remember my one birthday, we went to Beaver Creek, probably the whitest ski resort you can go to in Colorado. I mean, they have heated outdoor escalators. Yeah. They serve you free cookies at 3 o'clock.
Now, do you get the cookies even if you didn't ride there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can get the free cookies. But they're not weed cookies, because it's a Vail resort, so it's got to be family friendly.
Right.
But, I remember my one birthday, we all roll, so I get all my friends together and roll up, and I realize when we get there, I'm, like, looking around the car, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm the only white person in here. And I'm looking around. I've never seen so many people look uncomfortable when we got off the bus in the base area and we're walking. And my roommate Brian is dropping N-bombs like it's going out of style because he's from Brooklyn. And I got Kevin G with me who did a time in the pen. I got my buddy Meekins who's 6'3" and like 280 and was a pro arena football player, and I got Marcus with me and everything, and I'm like looking around and I'm like, God damn it, I am the piece of salt in the pepper shaker here. I'm like, okay. And it's just funny, but yeah, the Ask a Black Snowboarder thing is hilarious because the first episode it did okay, I'm like, oh, okay. The second episode, everyone's like sharing it and they're like, this is hilarious, and I'm like, is it though, or is it just politically incorrect and like making people uncomfortable? And the way we do it, you don't hear me really talking to them too much. It's got the question on the bottom and everything like that. But every now and then you get like a comment from me, and it just takes it to the next level. And it's, oh man.
You said when it comes out, and this is a big difference between blogging, where you can write it down and hit publish or send or what have you. The video work takes time after you do the first step. Actually filming it is the first step.
Yeah, you got to develop like a system and how you do it. So when I do last week, this week, I filmed that in about 12 minutes max. I have a list. I write down funny quips, but I come up with most of that right off the top of my head right there in the spot. If it's something that I think I can get 3 takes out of, I'll do 3 different takes with 3 different commentaries and splice it or do whatever and edit it together. But by and large, I do that, and then it takes me about an hour and a half to edit the whole thing together. But, it's people seem to enjoy it. It does interact with people. I would like to see it grow for sure and stuff, but playing the YouTube game, I know I just keep doing the YouTube Creators Academy to learn about all the ins and outs with it and everything like that. It's a really good tool that they created, but you learn about it, and you got to play the game, and what it is consistency, quality, and just determination, and that's what it is. There's no magical thing to like if you change a title or something. I did discover though, if you put the words "the" in there, for some reason it makes your video the authority on it. So it's now the most irrelevant show in snowboarding last week, this week, instead of just being last week, this week. So I put that on there for YouTube, and it does it, or it's the Ask a Black Snowboarder show, or the Stinky segment.
I've learned tons of those subtle little things just from different books and taking specific courses geared exactly towards what you're doing. For example, the word founder is better universally, in the United States anyway, is more well received. So if your Instagram profile, and mine says founder of shredsouls.com, and that's going to resonate as either not as like, oh, this guy's calling himself a CEO, because I don't give a fuck. Like, this is just what I do. But by specifically using the word founder the same way that you're saying it resonates with more people. They're more likely to. It does,
and that's why, like, if you ever look at my email signature on it, it says founder and internet warlock.
There you go. So now you've used a word that puts their guard down and says, oh, he's a smart guy, and then you've made them laugh.
Exactly.
This is all.
That's it. And then there's the disclaimer that's like, that I put in there is like, to save on paper, please don't print this out unless it's going to get prime placement on your refrigerator. No, you gotta have some humor about these things and stuff.
Have you ever tried putting in a video title, the abbreviation for not safe for work? NSFW.
I have not had to do that.
I would try that. Because anytime I see that, automatic click. That means I'm definitely going to
Well,
click on
I definitely think there's times on Last Week, This Week, it's definitely not safe for work.
I would throw that in there.
I'm going to put it in the title to this episode. We'll test. We'll see how it goes.
OMG,
Angry Snowboarder, not safe for work.
Not safe for work.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm old. This is going to be good. I'm clicking on it.
You actually have more creative things than fuck. I think it's one point, I don't know if it was on the podcast. I don't have a photographic memory. Or if it was before the podcast, but you said pickle dick. And I'm still laughing inside.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. I called the kid the pickle dick. I mean,
was it green or was it just
it's a pickle
briny?
Is it really briny, though? It's
salty,
more douchey than anything.
Okay.
But, oh, no, like, when we were growing up, Marcus and I were growing up together and stuff, and we would come up with just different names to call each other and shit. So we'd be, like, right around and... this was when everyone was like, yeah, I gotta butter the muffin. Someone would do it, I'd be like, nice douche muffin. And they're like, what? What's a douche muffin? I was like, think about it, you douche kitten. They're like, what's a douche kitten? I was like, you gotta think about it. Or, like, one of my favorite things to call people, I'll be like, you're a cock juggling thunder cunt. And they're just like...
You scrambled their brains.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like the term snow carny. Every time I drop that to someone that's never heard it before, they're like, they sit there and they think about it, and then they're like, oh my God, snow carny. It makes total sense. And I was like, well, yeah, think about it. What's a carny do? They travel around, operate shitty heavy machinery that could kill you, and sell you sugary foods that are overpriced. What's a snow carny do? They travel from all around to one area to operate heavy machinery that could kill you and sell you overpriced food.
Yeah.
That's what they are. And then there's the minimum wage snow carny. They're even below the snow carny.
So in the snowboarding world, you live I would say, a highly transparent life. What is something that people don't know about you? What is something that you don't put out through the Angry Snowboarder or on social media?
I'm actually a really private person. I have all sorts of weird phobias and anxiety from growing up in a small town, and I don't know if it's just guilt or whatever from the way I was raised, but a lot of people don't actually know that I almost died in 2002 snowboarding. It comes up every now and then in passing, but it's not something I've always made present. But yeah, I don't have a spleen. I had my heart restarted. I was airlifted, flight for life, stuff like that. Yeah, there's that. I mean, I also don't think people know that my family on my dad's side is like a whole herd of black sheep. And we're all unique. Like, so my grandfather helped found the National Ski Patrol. Like, he was a lawyer and everything. He went back to school to become a paramedic so he could train people up and down the East Coast when they were trying to develop the national standards. People don't know that about it. And so he did that. My cousin, Jonathan, is an astrophysicist and a rocket scientist. My little cousin, Lindy, helped film and work on the last Hoonigan video.
Oh, wow.
It was actually filmed by my hometown in New York. The last one, it was in Buffalo and the South Towns and stuff.
Yeah, the one Ken's like right on the edge of that building foundation about ready to...
Yeah, that's right. That's right down in the waterfront in Buffalo and stuff. And then actually in Eden, New York, where he comes where the train's coming and he goes sideways over the track. My friend grew up in the house behind there and shit like that. So there's that. Here's a really funny one. This is for my brother. He's been on the cover of Transworld 3 times. Not as a rider, but standing in the crowd at the U.S. Open taking photos, reaching over. My brother actually has about 10,000 photos from the U.S. Open from the early mid-90s. It's probably I want to say 93, 94, all the way to 2002. All analog format. I'm gonna go through it with him at some point. But
he's got a product right there. He's got a book.
He's already
Snow Beach, no problem.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a book, and I told him, I was like, I want to put this together. Let's do this and get it going. But people don't know that my brother actually went to college for photography. He's a bunch of credits short for graduating, but he has so many photos of pros from the quote unquote golden age that he's just like, oh yeah, someone put up on the History of Snowboarding a photo of Terrier in the pipe from Stratton, and so like I send the photo because I'm like looking in the background. I was like, God, that looks like my brother in his jacket that he wore at the time. And I send it to him, and he goes, "That's my jacket." I think he said it's like his jacket, but it's his roommate from college, and then it's his other roommate. And he goes, "But if you look down, you can see my hand holding the camera."
Holy shit!
And
Does he have a photographic memory as well, or
no,
do you just remember that because it's Terry?
It's one of those things. He doesn't have the memory that I have. He's different. He's actually got a higher IQ than me. And but he's dyslexic, I think, because he's got something. I don't know. He didn't get diagnosed till he actually went to college. So, but yeah, my brother and I have like the most unique relationship. We can go years without talking to each other, but if something happens to one of us, we will drop whatever the fuck we were doing and be right there. Like, you would think that we hate each other if you ever see us together, because like we are not nice to each other. We are. I am not looking forward to his wedding because one of us is probably going to fight the other. Like, this is awful. And but there's a bunch of different things. Oh, here's another one. I've been hit by 4 cars.
Holy shit.
At once?
No, different times. But every time I've been like in a crosswalk or walking in a parking lot or something, and I get hit, and I'm like 4 times. Like, I almost actually got smoked the other day on Main Street in Breckenridge. Girl was not paying attention. I was 3/4 of the way through the crosswalk, and she was on her phone, and she almost hit me. So I turned around and I just booted her car. I mean, like. I'm not nice. If you're gonna hit me, I will let. You're in a one-time
white girl.
Plus,
of course,
you walk a lot. You don't drive really, so
I don't even have a driver's license.
Okay.
I haven't owned a car in 13 years.
Conscious decision or
financial? And then the driver's license was a conscious one because when I had my driver's license, all my friends would be at the bar and they'd be drunk, and then they'd call me and be like, "You need to drive my car." And I got so sick of it. I was like, "I don't have a license, can't drive by. You can go fuck yourselves." Like, I'm a great friend. No, I figure after years of being the DD, like, they either need to get their shit together, or call an Uber, call a cab, do something. Like, don't ever drink and drive. Like, that pisses me off more than anything. But I'm sick of having to get woken up at 1 a.m. and do that.
They can drink at home alone by themselves. I think
they can.
In their bed.
They could.
They could do that.
I lived in Las Vegas on a pit stop on the way to Mount Hood. I never made it to Mount Hood.
How long did you live in Vegas?
It was like shy of 6 months, but I basically...
Did you snowboard there? Was it in the winter?
No, it was the summer. And I basically just gambled. I was going through some shit. It was after my spleen, and basically was going through some serious depression and shit with, having your spleen forcibly removed. Like, a splenectomy surgery is 45 minutes usually to have it removed. I mean, I was airlifted. My surgery was 9.5 hours. I spent almost a full week in an ICU. I spent 9 days in a hospital total. Like, I went from 188 pounds to 135 pounds in 9 days.
Holy shit.
Like, I should be dead. The doctor that did my surgery was the head of trauma surgery at ECMC in Buffalo, New York. And he straight up said, he goes, I think he was like 22, 23 years. He goes, "I've never seen a spleen that bad." He goes, the fact that, because how I did it, I hit some oververt in a half pipe, and I knew I was going to land on my head, and I had gotten a concussion a week before, and I was like, "Dude, I'm not going to land on my head." So I flipped myself around, but it's like a pericardial tear is what they call it, but you pinch your spleen open because your spleen is actually really weak. So I pinched it open, but I had no symptoms of internal bleeding. Like, wasn't pissing blood or anything.
It's so funny because I just assumed that somebody hit you from behind.
No.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. I'm over getting hit by. No, I did this one to myself. So I walked around for 2.5 weeks like that. And the only way they would have found it is if I had had a sonogram on my stomach. There is nothing that would have given it away in any way. I wasn't pissing blood. Like, they would push on the side and everything to see it, and I'd be like, it would hurt on the other side. And so they thought I'd pulled my diaphragm and did a bunch of other stuff, which, with the way I fell and whatnot. So, with everything that happened, they couldn't believe that I'd walked around like that. And then what did it to me was I actually just caught an edge, which is really weird because I had tacoed a down rail twice that day. And but I caught an edge and it ripped end to end, and instantaneously, like, I knew something was wrong. I was on the ground and I went to stand up to ride back down to the bottom of the resort. I was at Holiday Valley, New York.
Just rode there about a month and a half ago. An amazing amount of snow for
when they have
no other snow in the state.
When they have snow, that place can be absolutely amazing for 750 vertical. Like I do not regret growing up there. I just regret the town I had to live in. But yeah, so I go to stand up and my right eye goes completely blind. I basically like mini stroked out. Arm went limp, leg went limp on my right side. I collapsed, and I'm like, shit, something's wrong. So I'm like trying to get help. Or to get to the bottom, and I fell twice more getting to the bottom. Finally, I slid into the base area, and I was just laying there like gasping. I was having a hell of a time trying to breathe, and I was going in and out of consciousness, and I blacked out, and I was like face down. This kid, I mean, it was a dead day there. This kid walking by, I have no clue who this guy is, but he saved my life. He walked by and he kicked me, and I didn't move, and so he rolled me over. Like he kicked my foot, and he rolled me over, and I was just gray. Ooh. And he was like, "Yo, we need help." So they called down Carl Kohler, who used to be the head of ski patrol. The guy saved my life, and he's my friend Laura's dad and stuff. So he walks down, he's like, Avran, holy shit, okay. So he called the ambulance, and the ambulance came, and they're like shame training me from the base area in there, and they're cutting the clothes off, and they're getting me, and they're pulling stuff off of me, and I'm like, and I worked in the rental shop there, and like the whole crew's there, and my boss's son, Dusty's there, and Dusty's a special breed, and he's like, Avran, what's going on? Like, he is, like, getting into the scene. Like, everyone's like, go, back up. And Dusty's, like, trying to climb in the ambulance. He's like, what's going on? And I'm like, take my gear, put it inside, And I'm, like, doing this. And I was like, I'm not making it to work tomorrow. Like, I think I'm screwed here. And, I'm, like, fighting with the ambulance crew. I'm like, just get me to a car and I can drive to the hospital. And they're like, no. So they strap me down. And there's this giant pothole at the end of the driveway out from where the ambulance comes in. And I just distinctly remember looking at the woman next to me, and I was like, tell him to not hit the pothole. Do not hit the pothole. He drilled the pothole, and I blacked out. Next thing I know, I'm on the side of Route 219, or is it 353? No, it was 219, out by the golf course at Holiday Valley, and advanced life support is there. And the guy's looking at me, he's putting IVs in me, and he's like, the helicopter's coming. I was like, fuck the helicopter, I can't afford this thing, get me to my car, I'll drive. I'm like still fighting the whole time there. So I black out again. Next thing I know, I'm in the middle of the golf course and getting loaded into the helicopter. Yeah. So I don't know if anyone knows this, but like whenever they show a medical drama, they always show them like loading them from the side on the helicopter. Bullshit, they load you under the tail. There's a door and there's a track and it slides right in. So I could smell the exhaust. I was getting blasted with heat, but I'm just shaking because I was losing so much blood. They ended up putting 16 units of blood into me.
Good Lord. Yeah.
Normally they cut you off after 3. So did 16 of that, and they had saline, and they had at one point I had like 30 something IVs plugged into me. They sewed one into my hand, they sewed one into my wrist. They were getting ready to put like a main line right into my femoral artery and stuff. So they're flying me in, and I guess my heart stopped somewhere in there. That's what I was told. I still don't know if my heart did or didn't. So I just go with, well, that's what they told me in the flight. And I remember we landed on the roof of ECMC, and it was bitter ass cold. And they were cutting my clothes off on the roof. I mean, it was totally like ER. They're 16 people, and I got really lucky. My anesthesiologist was my friend Chuck's aunt, and I was supposed to ride with Chuck that day. And like when I didn't show up, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's dead," he called her, and she's like, he got her right before my surgery, and he's like, "Yo, we're gonna make sure he's okay." But I remember, so I was awake, like they're pulling me into pre-op, and they're like, ECMC's a learning school, and so like doctor comes in and he's pushing on my stomach, and I'm just bearing with the pain. I'm like, I'm gonna take it. Then the med students come in to poke and prod you, and I got this like 6'6" Eric Estrada looking motherfucker that had fingers like kielbasa's, and that dude pushed on my stomach. I popped off the bed and punched him in the side of the head. Patient is combative, strapped me down. So here I am. Now I'm strapped down, and they're putting a catheter in me while shoving a tube down my nose. So I'm like taking it from both ends. What they don't tell you when what they don't tell you about when they put the nasal gastric tube in is they lube that thing with KY. KY tastes awful. Oh my God, the taste.
Is that the first time you tasted it?
Yes, it was, and that's the only time I've tasted it. I will never go near that ever again.
Where's your sense of adventure?
It stops there because I will vomit. And I mean, You know, and then, mind you, so while they're doing this, they realize that they've got to check for internal bleeding. You know how they do that? They stick a finger in your ass. So that dude
I
was...
thought that's like a
You got,
paralysis
like all your
thing.
holes.
Well, you know that Eric Estrada motherfucker that had the kielbasa fingers?
He had a finger up there.
He put 2.
2 fingers.
That dude, I got sodomized. Basically...
Try to get a thumb up there.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I think he was going for a fist. He was trying to put it to the elbow. And,
But
This sounds more like it doesn't sound like you were in a hospital.
sounds like I was in a torture. Well, the story gets better.
A bathhouse.
Yeah, right. So the story gets better. So they wheel me in. They tell me to count back from 100. I made it to 97, and then I was out. You know, I'm losing blood. 9.5 hours of trauma surgery, and I wake up. And you know what I wake up to? My brother putting stickers on the neck brace that I'm in.
nice.
And he shaved my thigh.
Just because he could?
Yes, and that thing itched. He still tries to deny and say the nurse did it, but I was like, I know you did it. Why would they shave my thigh for no reason? This makes no sense. You shaved my thigh.
That's awesome.
They were going to operate on your leg, and they were
Yeah.
like, oh, shit, no. It's
I don't
something
know.
else.
Yeah, I don't know. But I remember the first thing I said to him, I wanted some Gatorade so bad. He's like, I'll go get you some. And he brought me back ice chips, that fucker. Wasn't allowed to eat anything for 7.5 days. All I could eat and suck on was ice chips. I wasn't even allowed water because they had the tube in the nose was filling about a quart jug every 40 minutes because when the spleen ripped, it had clotted from the earlier injury, filled with blood, and that spewed all over. So, you know, a normal spleen scar is like maybe to your belly button. I mean, mine is from the sternum to my waistline.
Yeah, they had
And
you wide open.
Yeah, so, they had to because they were cleaning my organs. I guess, supposedly there's video of it. I would love to see the goddamn surgery.
Would not. I would pass out.
I would put it on last week this week. And I put hashtag not safe for work just for AJ. And
Telling you, you get views.
I would get views.
And I would click. Be like, oh, what do we got here?
What do we got here? Yeah, no, you would click because you'd be like, I want to see him put that finger in his ass.
They got video of that?
I don't know, maybe. Probably security
Probably
footage of
makes-
me punching the guy.
Did
Get
this
some views off that.
Did this experience change your perspective on life anyway?
Yeah, for a little while there, I thought about going to religious school and becoming a minister, and then I was like, I just realized it was a coping mechanism.
Seriously.
It was one of those things, like I was trying to figure out what to do with my life because I didn't have insurance at the time. This was long before Obamacare, and they'd keep you on. So, but the cool thing was the insurance company never sent the paperwork after I graduated high school to my parents to drop me from the insurance. So they made a deal that if I went to college and pulled above a 3.0, they would pay for everything. So I pulled a 3.25 and then promptly failed out of college. I got a solid 2.25 semesters of community college. Took some yoga. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah, I took the most bullshit. I took English 050 because they put me in the remedial class because that's how bad of a student I am, which is funny because I write articles.
On paper, yeah.
Yeah. So, but, you know, it changes. Mentally, it changes you, you know. I mean, I remember my first day back snowboarding because the big thing was they thought I'd broken my back because I don't know why, but they told me that, like, I would probably never walk again. And I was like, no, I'm going to walk. I'm fine. And I that was also that big Eric Estrada motherfucker, and I think he was just pissed at me because he and I had another battle one night doping on more doped out of my mind on morphine. I seriously
suplexed
thought
him in the lift
so. This was
line again.
this was back when MTV had Celebrity Deathmatch.
Oh, that was my favorite show. They need to bring that shit back.
I would love that, dude. But so
claymation and
the
then-
claymation. So,
Oh.
anyways, I'm on morphine drip and I am tripping balls, dude. And I'm
Nice.
looking at my hands, and I swear to God, I thought I was claymation. I am completely out of it, and I thought I was fighting Nick Diamond, the judge. And he grabbed me by the nose. And
The
was
bald
pull-
guy?
Yeah, he was pulling me. No, that was Judge Mills Lane.
Oh, yeah, it was Judge
Nick
Mills Lane.
Diamond had the really bad mustache and hair. And I think
yeah.
he was the one that constantly kept getting killed every episode. But so I did this guy, like, you know, I'm fighting Nick Diamond, and he grabs me by the nose and he's like pulling me around, and I'm like I'm like in and out, I'm doped up. I grabbed my nasal gastric tube and just pulled the whole thing out that night.
Whoa.
Well, guess who the med student was on rotation that night?
Eric Estrada.
Yeah, fucking Chachi. You know? And he comes in and he's like, well, you got to put it back in. I was like, they're going to pull it out in the morning. Little did I know that I could actually deny him the right to do it. That fucker held me down. He didn't put any lube on that thing, and he broke it through. He broke my
Didn't
sign.
even spit on it or
No,
nothing?
dude, he pushed it right through, and
gentleman
my
does.
nose is never. I've never breathed right since.
Holy
My
shit.
sinus is all fucked. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. 2 years ago, I called a kid out for littering, and he sucker punched me in Breck and broke my nose, so I broke his jaw, and I had to reset my nose, so I set it myself. I actually breathe better now. But yeah, for years that thing never worked right. Like that right side of my nose was messed up, and but it's a weird situation. And the whole time I was in there, dude, people kept dying. It was so weird. So I'm in the ICU.
Hospitals are dangerous.
Dude, I was in the ICU, and the person in the room next to me died, and then they take me out of the ICU, and the guy across the hall from me died, and then some guy coming in to visit someone had a massive coronary right in front of my room, and I saw the whole thing. And then this guy Russ that I shared my room with my last day, had an allergic reaction, and he was prone to grand mal's, and he had a tree fall on him from a freak ice storm chainsaw tree cutting accident, and he had over 400 staples in him. And he started seizing, and the staples started popping, and I was hitting the call button, and luckily my mom walked in, and she got the nurse for him. I think she saved his life.
The Grim Reaper was in there, and you couldn't see it, but he's like swinging the sickle like left and right,
Dude,
missing you, and like hitting random people all around you.
Straight up, man. The only good thing about that whole experience was my one nurse, Jasmine. She was a babe, but she
Let's
never.
talk about Jasmine. How's she doing?
I don't know, but all I know is
Try to find her
she
on
would never
Bumble.
give me a sponge bath. I'd be like, yo, I need a sponge bath, and she wouldn't do it. I always got like Kathy. Kathy was like 70
I
years
need my
old.
catheter changed.
No, but speaking of the catheter, my friend Mike Wolf that I went to high school with comes in, sees the piss bag at the end of it, and he's like, what's this? Picks the whole thing up, and it just runs right back into me. That is pain like you never want to feel.
Yeah, once it goes out, it shouldn't go back in.
It should never go back in.
So we're in an Airbnb, like 10 miles or so from the trade show, and the neighbor can hear us really well. So we've got to wrap up soon.
Oh, okay.
So we don't keep them up super late. But on a transition question back to snowboarding, you've ridden a shitload of snowboards.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. What are your favorite ones?
Well, okay, so right now, my current favorites, I've got a 154 Honolulu IPP. Love that board. Just love the shape on it. It's like pointy, blunt, camber, good park board, stuff like that. I've got a 156 Amplid Pillow Talk powder freestyle board. Love that thing. Then I've got a 152 Marhard Lumberjack that I helped them design that board. I love the way that thing rides. I've got a 44 K2 Cool Bean, but honestly, like the two boards that I really would just, if nothing ever changed in snowboarding, I would want a 2000 Burton Custom, and then I would want a 2001, actually I have it, a 2001 K2 Travis Parker, but I wouldn't want the 59. I would rather have the 55. It was the Scorpicus Nauticus.
Yeah,
So
I'm going through my brain of Travis Parker graphics.
it was his second year pro model.
Okay.
I have it. I just never ride it anymore. It just sort of sits in. I've got like these board boxes just full of shit that's just sitting in there. So
Does it say Stay Wild, or was that
No.
a different year?
that was 2 years after it. So there was one before mine, then there was mine, then there was the Parka graphic, the play on the Muska, and then there was the Stay Wild was his last year pro model. I think, if I'm right.
There was an interesting way, I believe, I watched this transpire, that you helped Marhar build that board.
Yeah, basically I wanted a twin powder log jibbing board, and I just said, hey Nate, I got an idea, and you've got this technology, and I hand drew the actual thing, took a photo of it and sent it to him, and I was like, yo, can we make this happen? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, oh, and by the way, it's got to be 28 wide. He's like, what? And I was like, it's just wide enough to fit on a belt. And so they made 3 prototypes, and I've got one of them, and they did it. And dude, that board is sold out worldwide, and they're getting like 3 emails a day for people that want that board. So I told them, I go, hey, you should just do a limited release when you get back after the show. Change the graphic, because it's black and red. I was like, do a blue and red, so it's a limited graphic, and tell people like it's a 1 week only thing. So if they pre-order it, they can have it for that week, and I guarantee they're gonna make money because that board's killer, man. I love the way that thing rides. You can ride it on hardpack for being as wide as it is, and rockered and everything in there and stuff. But I mean, wanted a board I could go hit log jibs with.
Nice. So one final question in my weak attempt to psychoanalyze you. Are you really angry or are you really calculated?
You tell me.
That's perfect.
That's right.
Is that a good spot to end it, or do you want to say anything else?
No, man. All I've got to say is thanks to everyone that's had my back for years. Ben West, Kevin Hubb, Marcus Stevens, Gabby Rainville, especially Bruce Sandstrom right now because he's handling ad sales for me and pulling his hair out every day and dealing with companies like Panasonic. And, everything that my mom especially, like, and dad for, just realizing that I was never going to be normal and do that. Anyone that reads the website, and especially snowboarding, like, thank you, snowboarding.
Thanks for listening. Sorry about the super long gap between episodes. I moved to California and greatly underestimated the amount of upheaval that the move would create in my life. But I'll share more on that in a future episode. Until next time, which won't be long, I promise. Peace.